Welcome to the SOB radio show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at Spunky Old Broad 1 or reach out to me on our website at spunkyoldbroad.com. And now, back to the show. Hello, everybody. This is Gayle Carson, and we are doing our SOB radio show, which is for women 50 plus. And it is my extreme honor and pleasure to really talk with one of my idols, and you know I don't say that very often, one of my idols, Naomi Rhode. Naomi is a CSP and a CPAE Speakers Hall of Fame speaker. She's a graduate and alumni of the year at the University of Minnesota. And of course, she's a professional speaker, speaking and transformational life coach and author, and has spoken in 50 states and 15 foreign countries. She is a member of the Speakers Roundtable and a recipient of the prestigious Cavett Award, and that is like the Oscar in the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Oscars, and past president of the National Speakers Association and the Global Speakers Federation. She is a proficient speaking and life coach. She is the co-founder of Smart Health, which is a much sought-after professional, which is a practice, a dental practice, which supplies absolutely everything to dentists worldwide. She's a much sought after professional speaker and MC, the author of 3 inspirational books: The Gift of Family, A Legacy of Love, More Beautiful Than Diamonds, The Gift of Friendship, and My Father's Hand, A Daughter's Reflections on a Father's Wisdom. She has co-authored Speaking Secrets of the Masters, Meditations for the Road Warrior, and many other multi-authored books, including many of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. So welcome, Naomi, and it is just a delight to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Gayle. And the words that you say for introduction are very special in that it is what I have done. But the most important thing is what you said about me in relationship to you, because that is what speaks of influence and who I am. And who we are is much more important than what we do. Anybody can do, but it's a privilege to be able to influence into other people's lives. So thank you for that very wonderful introduction, Gayle, and it's a privilege to be on your program.
Well, thank you so much. And you know, I have to say, both Naomi and her husband and I were at the Veteran Speakers Retreat, which was this past August, and we had, I don't know, maybe 55, 60 people. I know it's capped at 60 people, so there weren't any more than that. But I would tell you at least 40, if not 30, of the people who were there mentioned you in their tribute as to what they've done in their life, the influence and impact you've had. So indeed, influence is a very important thing. And you had asked that this particular show might be titled Identity Shifting for Healthy Hereafters. And I know that you feel that hitting 50 is not over. You and I are the same age, and you have chosen this interesting title for a particular reason. So why don't you elaborate on the intriguing title that you have?
Well, my dear, I think that those of us who are listening to this program all know that life is full of change and growth and decline, probably all 3. However, if we look at our identity and recognize that people that are really healthy emotionally, shift their identities very easily, we recognize that those are successful people. From the very beginning, when you send off this kid into that kindergarten room and he looks back at you and he says, "Goodbye, Mom. I'm starting a new life. Go make cookies. I'll be home soon." That little kid is identity shifting in a very powerful way. He's saying, I'm owning this part of my life. And those of us that get to be 50, 55 and above often say, wait a minute, my identity is crashing. No, it isn't crashing, because everything we have been, we take into who we will be. So successful hereafters depend on how successful we have been in the past.
Well, that is so true. It's uh, there are certain things that I want to do that I feel I'm not accomplishing, and I'll talk to my son about it because he's very simpatico, and he'll say, "Mom, you're facing ageism," and I say, "I refuse to accept that." But I know it's out there. Look, I know it's out there, but then we have to adjust to what's happening to us to make us more appealing to the people that we are trying to influence or to become a part of. So, do
Correct.
in your experience, do you think successful living at any or all ages is influenced by heredity or by environment? It always comes back to that nature or nurture kind of thing, I guess. And I'm just interested to know because you've got, you've got, is it 5 kids or 4 kids? 5 kids, right?
We have 3 children,
Oh,
12
three
grands.
children. That's right. Yeah. And then you've got some great.
Yep, 3 greats and 12 grands.
Right. So you can certainly talk about this because your kids have gone into a variety of different professions. So what do you think, heredity or environment?
Well, certainly heredity plays a part. Intelligence, some of our gifts come through our heredity, I believe. Physical abilities to go to the Olympics maybe could be transferred somewhat through heredity. But I'm a firm believer that environment absolutely surpasses heredity. And just to give you one little homely, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but in a very ordinary way, example, I have a friend who said that his parents died in a car crash when he was 5 and his brother was 4. And his aunts flipped a coin on who would take which child to raise. He was taken into a home of a professor. And this family loved books so much that their kitchen was literally had bookshelves in their kitchen. And they would read to their kids at night over the dinner table. The other child was put into literally a drug house. And how that could have happened 60 years ago, I don't know. But that person is in San Quentin for life. The other person has an amazing position. If I told you what it was, you would be awestruck, but I don't want to give away his identity. And every month through his adult life, he's gone to visit that brother in prison because, as it says it in the Old Testament, perhaps you've called to the kingdom for such a time as this. He was called to the kingdom of an environment of intelligence and successful living, and the other child was not. Our children have grown up in a home where college really wasn't an option. I mean, any more than high school or grade school. And that's the way our families were. And they're all amazing professionals, physicians. We've got a couple physicians, a couple dentists, a lawyer, a businessman, a going to be lawyer, a businessman. So I think environment, in my opinion, trumps heredity.
Well, it's interesting you say that because when I got out of high school, all I wanted to do was sing and dance. That was my dream, to go to New York and be on Broadway, et cetera, et cetera. And my parents were just chagrined because they said, "No, you're going to college." And I said, "Well,
Sure.
I don't really want to go to college." And they said, "Well, you're going." So my father, and this at this time, many years ago, it cost $5,000 to go to college. So, which is probably doesn't even pay for books anymore. But so I said, "Well, I'll take the $5,000." And he said, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" I said, "I'm going to go to New York and study dancing." And he said, "Oh, no, you're not." And so off I went to college, and I did graduate. Now I have a doctorate, But the thing is that it was never a dream of mine to do that. I wanted show business. So speaking to me is like show business. So when you started to speak professionally, how did you do that? Share that journey with us.
Well, it's an interesting journey because my father was a phenomenal speaker. And my mother was a speaker of sorts. My father was an executive for the Boy Scouts of America and spoke a great deal for them, and also was a lay pastor in a Methodist church. And I have 250 of his sermons, and they are just priceless. And my mother went along and taught with him things that were appropriate. So they were both good speakers, and I have only one sibling, and he's a phenomenal speaker, probably the most well-known dental speaker that there is, Dr. Omar Reed. And he was speaking to 600 dentists in New York, and I was working in his office. And he was speaking on preventive dentistry. Back in the 60s, that was a brand new thing. We were actually encouraging you to floss your own teeth, not to just come in and have the hygienist clean your teeth. And he had an emergency phone call, was asked to step out and make this call, and he said, well, I'm just going to call up my hygienist. Now, that's only a brother would do that, and have her speak for a half an hour on preventive dentistry. Help me welcome Naomi Rhode. Oh, my goodness, 600 dentists in New York. Well, I decided that, no pain, no gain. They didn't know me, I didn't know them, and I was passionate about preventive dentistry. So I went up and spoke and got 2 speaking engagements as a result of that. Texas and California had no idea that I was going to speak. So that's how it happened.
Wow. And you never looked back. That's the thing. But
I never looked back.
You also, talked about, environment being so big in your life as far as how people grow up. So how was your environment to you?
Well, of course, my father was, because of his Boy Scout work and his work in the church, was a bigger-than-life person with tremendous charisma. He started a Boy Scout camp in northern Minnesota, and my mother was the cook, and we went up there and spent every summer for 6 years as a little girl. And I sat around the campfire with those Boy Scouts and listened to my dad regale the stories of all the stories of the campers and the Indians. And I was fascinated by his ability to move people and to change their lives. And so for me, environment was huge. I was always expected to be the best, not in a mandate, but rather in a reality. My father would say, you are the best at what you do, not you have to be. You are the light of the room when you walk in, not you have to be. You are the most precious daughter anyone could ever have. So that's the environment I grew up in. He died when I was 13. And my mother died when I was 23. And there's not a day that I do not think about them. Now, I will tell you a shocking story, Gayle. My father being a Methodist minister, a lay minister, our Christian faith was very prominent. And he died on Good Friday. I was 13, and he was so big in my life that I thought he would rise from the dead on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's a biggie, because I was a mature 13-year-old, and I was also an excellent pianist and was playing the offertory that morning. And I got up and looked around, and he wasn't there. But my faith was solid because I felt without any shaking that he was with God. So that's how big my environment was, and it still is.
Well, it's
my
so
environment
funny.
Still is.
Naomi, it is amazing because, I was getting chills when you were telling this, because it was the same thing in my household. I was expected to come home with the A's, not to get the dollars that everybody else was getting, because we didn't have dollars. I mean, when everybody else was banking a dollar, I was banking a dime. But my parents expected it because I could do it. You got the brain, you got the intelligence, and I could never go out with the second boy that asked me. I had to go out with the first boy that asked me. And I mean, there were just things as I was raised. And when people say today, who is your biggest mentor? I say my mom. Now, my mom lived till she was 99 and a half. So I had her with me a long time, and she spent every winter with me after my dad died for 35 years in the winters in Florida. But she was my biggest mentor. There was no question about that. But you and your husband, Jim, you co-founded $1 million plus company. So tell us about how that happened and, you know, tell us that.
Well, at this point, I'll give you an update. It's probably closer to 150 million, and we have given a portion of it to our daughter and son-in-law, and they have bought the rest as of a few months ago. So we are now the co-founders and no longer the owners of Smart Practice is the name of the company. And we started in our garage, literally. Again, let's go back to that preventive dentistry movement. My husband was an engineer and also a long-range planner in New York for American Can Company. And my brother, living in Phoenix, said, hey, come out west and start something out here. And we started a dental laboratory with my brother. And then this preventive dentistry, really, it was a groundswell hit in the 60s. And we started this little company, Smart Practice, to provide for dentists things that they would need to help people change their behavior, books and motivational materials and cards and recall cards and stationery. And so it started out dental floss, all the things that they would need, videos on how to learn how to take care of their own mouths. Our little company started literally the two of us in the garage with our kids helping us stuff envelopes. And our model for starting the company was a triangle. 3 points, of course, speaking, seminars that we would present, 3-day seminars, 9 to 11 of those a year, and then product. And those 3 points of the triangle became very, very synergistic. So if we came and spoke at your dental meeting, oh my goodness, trust was accomplished, and they would come to the seminar. We had 88 trips to Hawaii to give seminars. 88. Last January was our last one, and our 50th year of doing seminars in Hawaii. And we did these seminars in beautiful, beautiful places all summer, and our kids spoke with us. So our son developed a course called Teens to the Top, and he started the youth program at NSA. And our daughters both helped in the children's program that we put on for the dentists and their spouses' children. So we really brought it into our family. And now it's gone into the second generation, and the company has expanded beyond dentistry to medicine, dermatology, veterinarian, eye care, all different businesses are associated with us. And we have 2 grandsons who are dermatologists, so they're coming into the business. So it will go on into the next generation. So that's the way the company started. That's the way it developed. And we're just thankful that it's had a privilege of influencing a lot of people.
Wow, that's really some story. You hear about all the people who do start businesses in their garages and stay there, unfortunately. But you have really, but you have really.
Well, and Jim became Entrepreneur of the Year for the state of Arizona one year, and also became a very good speaker and a coach. And at this point, our shifted identity has brought us into the period of our lives where we're doing very little speaking, mostly coaching. Jim coaches business professionals, and I coach speakers and also do a lot of transformational life coaching. That's the shifted identity.
Well, it's interesting because You talk about identity shifting, and I'm wondering how decade birthdays affected you. I mean, I'm looking forward to the our ninth decade. Um,
Yes.
what are you thinking now? I mean, how is this affecting you?
Well, I turned 80 in May. My voice sounds 90 because I had a massive stroke when I was 70 on the way to a speaking engagement, and I have a frozen vocal cord, thus my funny voice. But other than that, I do not look 80, and I don't plan to look 80 because I have a lot left in my bucket list, on my bucket list, and very excited to accomplish those things. I have several big speaking engagements coming up. Both of them, there are actually three of them, and all three are just 30 minutes, which is really good time frame for me. 30 minutes, whereas we used to do a half a day or a full day. 30 minutes now sounds great. But it's really, this, darling Gayle. You're so beautiful. It is totally attitude. It's totally attitude. And you either shift identity to old age at 50 or 60 or 70 or 80, and you and I haven't done it yet. And there's no need to yet. Now, there will be a point where we will probably be totally incapacitated. But if we still have our minds, we will have a chance to influence people. And that's what I want to do till the day I die. And I know that that's your goal also, Gayle. And it's a very, very important goal. My husband often says, when did they die? How does he say this? When did they stop living? When did they die and when did they stop living? Two different things.
Absolutely.
A lot of people stop living at 60 or 65 or 70. And that's just it's not in the book for us because it's too much fun to live life with adventure. And I just had 3 surgeries this summer. And I think that would stop a lot of people. I had a melanoma. I had a knee done. And when I had my knee done last week, they said, whoops, you need a pacemaker. So obviously they must think I have a lot of pacing to do because they said, you won't believe it. The pacemaker is going to make you feel so alive. And I thought, I didn't know I didn't feel that way. But thanks, I'll take it. So I'll take it as long as it's given to me, dear Gayle. And I know you live that way too. And it's so exciting to live that way. So I'm really hoping that the people that are listening are in some way, in a tiny place inside of them, they're saying, I have to be more. It doesn't mean I have to do more, I have to be more. I hope they're saying that.
Well, I totally agree with everything that you said. I mean, I've gone through a lot. As a matter of fact, I just got diagnosed again, believe it or not, with my 4th case of breast cancer. So now I start treatment again on Monday. So
Wow.
I'm right in there with you. But nothing's stopping me. I mean, I'm still going and still doing and plan on continuing to do so and going to be starting a whole new life because my son has built this beautiful place for me in Palm Springs, and I'll be moving in June. And he's furnished it. He keeps sending me pictures. Oh, I bought this. I bought that. And then
what fun!
Yeah,
what fun!
Yeah. He says all you're going to need is a key. So that's wonderful, and I'm so appreciative of it. And but it's true. I know what you've gone through in the past month, and I know what you went through 10 years ago. And by the way, I'm older than you are by 3 months. So
oh, my goodness.
Here. Yeah. So, but it's so interesting because really nothing has slowed you down. And I mean, you may think so, and you may say, well, I'm not what I was because my voice isn't what it was. And I can't do what I used to do. Well, let me tell you something. I could do a full day. I do not want to do a full day anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even want to travel out of the country. I'm having a wonderful time just here in the States. So, um,
Sure.
you know, but anyway, folks, hang on. Naomi's coming back with us. We're going to take our break, and we'll be back to you in just a few minutes.
Thank you.